Hello and welcome to Pickles Garage. Today we are going to be working on the Jeep WJ, my Grand Cherokee 2002. We are working on the serpentine belt drive, my belt tensioner specifically. This is a kit which has everything I need to replace. So thank you for joining me today. If you've seen my other video recently, I was identifying an issue where there's a loud sort of squeaking with the vehicle. And through that video, I showed you how you can determine if it's going to be belt driven or if it's an air leak or, something else. So skipping the part that identifies this issue, you can kind of tell just from me moving it, where it just randomly gives up and it's resisting. Kind of hear that where it's sticking. So it's gummed up, it's gross. I could probably clean it, but you can see the wheel is certainly messed up. The primary reason for the squeaking actually is because it will stick and then the belt is sort of sliding against it. And so this is also bad, so I'm replacing all of it. But if you have a sort of squeaky sound coming from your vehicle, you determine that it's coming from this side, it could very well be that belt tensioner, so we are going to remove that today. Let me dive into the specific tools you need and we'll knock this out. Alright, so here we go. Naturally, you're going to need your regular sort of ratchet here. You're going to need a size 9/16 socket. Unfortunately, this is one of those parts that they use kind of funky tools to put on. It's actually a star. It's a T40. You can get these kits in a lot of different places, but Amazon is where I got this from. It was pretty cheap. I bought it the one time. I've used it tons of times because automakers love to throw random parts on there that make it seem like you have to go to an actual dealer or something to do the repair yourself, but really it's just a fancy bolt. And then my kit. So the kit actually came from Rock Auto. I'm not sponsored by them, but I do like their stuff. Comes with magnets. That's the best part, really. This was kind of cheaper than I expected as far as quality. The price was right on par with everything else that I get at Rock Auto. It's always a lot cheaper than what you're gonna get at, AutoZone, O'Reilly, or Napa or whatever. But just feeling the quality didn't feel all that great. It says it's guaranteed. It's got all kinds of different stuff around saying how awesome it is. So I'm hoping it actually works fine. This is a pretty cheap vehicle. It's not my daily. So I'm gonna go ahead and test it out, hope for the best. If for whatever reason this fails on me, I'll put a comment below the video and let you guys know so that you can avoid it. If you're one of the earlier viewers, unfortunately I won't have that review for you just yet, but I'm gonna trust it. I'm putting it on my own vehicle, so take that for what it's worth. Now, you'll notice my belt is already removed. Likely you have not done that step yet, which is fine. You're just gonna take a breaker bar. You could even use your ratchet here, but you don't have to put a socket on it. And there is a square here. Actually, it is gonna be a 1/2-inch drive, so I had the wrong breaker bar here. It's gonna be the larger one. Let me grab that real quick. All right, so boom, no harm, no foul. Just the wrong one here, forgot. So it just goes directly into that square peg, or hole rather, and then you're going to be rotating it clockwise. See how it's moving away? So that will release the tension on your belt, which will give you enough leverage to pull it off your alternator or even off of here. So you don't have to remove it completely, you just have to get the tension off and get it out of your way, more or less. So we're gonna start with the tensioner itself, just because that is gonna be the harder bolt with that T40. Once again, it's just gonna be right here, and we're gonna go ahead and remove that. So let me get my tripod here. Okay, so easy enough. You're just gonna reach down here, and these aren't really supposed to be on there all that tight, but sometimes they get gummed up. So if it resists a little bit more than you just saw, that is fine. But you just have to get it mostly loose here, and then try and get a hand to catch it. Now, my kit did not come with new bolts, which is, again, sort of rare. It's not something I've experienced before, so again, it might just be it being a cheaper set that it's making me reuse hardware. But keep that in mind, because I'm going to have to hold on to this. And then it looks like this whole thing is actually pretty gummed up on here. It's not breaking loose. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm actually going to have to pry this off, which I don't even want to say that you're going to need to do because that is pretty rare. So I'm going to grab a pry bar, just show you what I'm going to do. And if you run into the same weird situation, you can attack it the way I do. Okay, so like I said, you shouldn't have to do this, but using trusty pry bar here, I'm just gonna wedge it and give it a nudge here. Wow, that is gummed up. I've replaced a few of these. I've never had a situation where it was locked in like this. That is nuts. I might be able to there it goes. Wow, that is unique. All right, so it went flying, it's gone. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove this pulley too. This will be the easier one. It's right here, and that is that 9/16. So let me actually knock that out. I don't really see that super often with newer vehicles. You definitely see it with old stuff, but everything on this thing is really corroded. It makes you wonder where it started life. Somewhere back east, probably. Okay. Whew. Okay. Oh, actually, I'll keep the fun going. You don't need to remove anything else. I mean, I'm sure if you were really pressed for space, you could remove this, but that's a lot of extra steps, and realistically, you can reach everything. So, undoing this bolt right here, falls right off. You'll see that there is a spacer. That just makes sure that everything is lined up. You could spray this off just so it's not super gross, but that is removed. We'll save our bolt. Let me grab the new one. I'll clean this off. Okay, so similar to the old one, that plug went right there and then has a bushing so that way it can rotate around, right? So you're gonna take your new one, which will have a similar thing, goes on the outside, right? Like that. Now I've got that. Like that, right? And then this will go here, and so it kind of pushes back and forth. So that is completely normal, don't even worry about that. Alright, and so now we're going to line up with our bolt from the old one, like so. It does screw into this, right, like that, okay. And then this is now going to go right back in where we pulled it out. So I'm just getting it started using that spacer actually to turn it in most of the way. Okay, now it's snug. Okay, nice and tight. There we go. Not moving anywhere, not going anywhere. Locked in, okay? So now, I'm gonna pause while I grab the other one. Okay, so now we have our new one. There's no real way you can install this wrong just because it has these pegs that are different sized, and so it's only gonna slide in one way. I don't know if you can tell, I don't know if it comes up on camera well enough, but it's hard to describe. I probably, even though I haven't even tested this yet, I probably wouldn't recommend the one that I bought, just because it's usually a sort of like, I don't want to say it's spongy, but it's more kind of a rubbery feel. This literally just feels like hard plastic. So I don't know. It is what it is. This also doesn't seat all the way. I don't like that it didn't give new hardware. It does have more than enough thread here, so I'm not concerned about it popping off, but it is kind of funky. So in any case, I'm going to line this up. Sorry for the hard cut, wanted to give you a better angle here. So in any case, you're going to line it up, right? Holes are going to help you line this up here perfectly. You get your threads in. We're just going to walk it on in. And then you're going to break out your T40 once again. This was on super tight initially. I actually broke it loose, but you don't have to do anything too crazy with this. You want to make sure that it's not going to vibrate out of where it's sitting, but there's a reason why this was put in with a T, or a, like a T40. It's because they don't want you to over tighten these. So I'm going to get it nice and snug, and then that is more than enough. So perfect. So now we're going to realign our belt. So you might have not taken it all the way off, which is good, because all you have to do is rotate this once again clockwise and put it back on the alternator. But if you did take your belt off entirely, like I did, I'm going to show you really quick what order it goes in. I'm going to pop it on, but I'm going to show you what I did. All right. Okay, so we'll start from the pulley here. So it's going to go under your new pulley, goes up across your power steering, it goes down, straight down under your AC. It's going to come up under it, then loop over right here, and then it is S-ing down under this lower right here. Focus down here, okay? And then it is coming up around your new tensioner, right? And coming here and around your alternator and back to the pulley, right? So real quick, under pulley, straight across, over, straight down, under this, AC, up over here, creates an S, back around, under again, straight up, tensioner, alternator, back to pulley. So what you might need is, if you replaced everything as I did with the belt, you might need an extra set of hands just to get it on there. Typically what I'll do, just to make it as easy as possible, is I'll use a cheater bar, just goes on the ratchet. That way, from a higher angle, you have a lot more leverage to just pull it as hard as it can until it maxes out. And then rather than going over the alternator, which I'll typically do when it's been broken in, this was just so tight that I actually went under the new pulley. And so I got everything around, everything I need to do. This was maxed out as far as it can go. And then I slid it under the pulley from the rear, and then the rest followed. But that is the whole repair, and that will eliminate my squeaking issue. So feel free to check all of your pulleys. You know, everything should be loose when the belt is off, except for down here, what's actually powering the pulley, but everything else should be free. So if you notice that something is sticking, then you have issues elsewhere. But thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.